Santhosh. We'll just wait for Santhosh to come in, or Hypno Baba, as he is now called. Santhosh is many things. He's a leadership coach. I've known him even as a hypnotist. He's an author. He is teaching at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. He's training people at the University of Chicago and ISP, and he himself is a celebrity coach. So, I could go into days of this, Santosh, just talking about all the stuff that you do. But, we'll just get straight into this little chat that we're going to have on cutting out noise. Our teenagers who are listening into the session, and who will be listening into it even after the session is over, they have so much noise around them, isn't there? I mean, there's just so much exposure, so much information. It's pretty much full of madness. How do they cut it out and just sift out the substance from it? Now, not everybody has that kind of opportunity like you do. I know that you just cut out all the noise from your life and moved to Kurg. But if you could let kids who are listening in, and how they could possibly cut out that noise, sift out some substance. Welcome, Santosh.
Thank you, Sita. In case my power goes off here, I'll walk out. Then you'll see the forest outside. No, I can't. Right. Uh, so I kept thinking, as I said first, I'm not an expert on this field. And I get very anxious when I talk to students and teenagers. I've been only talking to CEOs, which is easier to talk. They want to understand business. Uh, and the last thing I want to do is to preach, because I remember as a student how much I hated it. you know, Information is so much available to them. So the good news to everybody who is hearing, I have no slides. I can talk, you can ask questions. Let's even look at this that from a parent's perspective, or Sujita, where you and me in life, we could think about there are too much noise. The fact is the noise was there always. And I tend to look at noise as good. One, the question is, am I using it? So I can only share my personal experiences. I was never good, great as a student. I'll manage. And my parents always complained that I have too many interests and too much noise in my life. And interestingly, they are the ones who helped me later. So the rule number one, psychologically, there is a rule that human brain at any given point of time, or human mind, cannot notice everything in front of you. For example, Sujita, you're sitting behind you, there is a window. Possibly you have seen this window 1,000 times. Can you tell me how many metallic bars are there in the window? You
There's
can't.
no way. There's no way I could tell you that.
Or how many steps are there in your home when you come down? We don't know. We do it every day. So the rule number one, human brain cannot take every stimulus which is given. That's the good news. We can't, because at every point of time, there are too many information coming in. Human brain is not designed to take all. The rule number two, we all have a filters that allow certain information to come in and certain information we don't see, like the steps or the iron bars on your window. So we see typically what we want to see, and we hear what we want to hear, even if there are too many noises. How many of you in this group are dog lovers?
I should
chat.
have a few yeses.
Show your, is there, what's the way you show that? The thumb or let me know how many of
Yeah,
you are dog
I can
lovers.
see raised hands happening. I can see a few raised hands out there.
Correct. So I am a dog lover throughout that from a very early stage of my life. So even if there are too many noises around from far away, if I hear a dog barking, I possibly will know which breed is that. So my brain can filter that information from the thousands of other noises that I hear. So the rule number two is that even there are millions of noises out there. I'm using noise metaphorically. Somebody wants to enter the room. Okay, I'm admitting I'm so uh, so I'm using noise as a metaphor. Even if there are millions of noise, fortunately our brain cannot take all. Our brain chooses. Our brain unconsciously filters. Like in my case, I filter the dog barking among all other noises, and I can actually understand which breed is that. Now comes the question. If somebody who is not a dog lover or do not care about the dog, they don't hear that. So why is their brain not filtering that? So that's the rule number three. The filtering mechanism depends on what are the things that you told your brain that you are interested in. Only that information noise is given to you. Temptation always comes through a door that is deliberately kept open. Otherwise, no temptation comes in. So if you have kept the door open, the noise will come in. If you haven't, so blocking the noise is difficult. So don't try to block the noise. I'll give you an example. If you see a very small child, let's say 2 year old, walking with a glass full of water very confidently, and the mom see this, and mom is scared, and mom say, hey baby, don't drop that water. Now what happens the next second? The girl dropped the water,
Spilling's
because
happening.
till that time that's not in our awareness. The girl's awareness, glass can be dropped, is not there. Now that you have given that, it's a possibility. So anything, if you say no to, oh, there is this noise, I should not look at there, it becomes stronger. I tell you, if you're scared of darkness, I tell you, okay, go up to the terrace, it's dark, but don't get scared. You have to first get scared to remove that fearness. Otherwise, you don't know. Your brain doesn't understand a do not command. So don't fight it to avoid noise. Now you might wonder. So first rule is there are noises, but your brain cannot take all. Two, the brain filters things and show you. Three, the brain filters only things you want or you have told your brain that I'm interested in, like in my case, dogs. The rule number four, don't fight it. Don't say that I should not watch movie. That becomes stronger. Anything that you fight, that becomes stronger. I should not look at that guy. Then you keep thinking, looking at that guy. No, I, I should not get scared when he talks to me like that. I should not get scared when he talks to me like that. Then you get scared because that's what you're telling. Now, rule number five, easy stuff. If you have something else to focus, this automatically stops. So instead of fighting something, you need to create what are the things that I would like to focus in my mind. So those noises start coming into you automatically. And because those noises are coming in, again, I'm using noise as a metaphor here, things that you are keen on, things that you're interested in coming into your brain, your mind, then there is no space for other things to come in. As a kid, I had asthma. Since I could remember, my mom told me I had asthma when I was born. So I couldn't go to the school most of the days. My dad will go to work, my sister will go to school. I'm just hanging around. I have to go one day get an injection on this hand, another day on the another hand. More than going to the school memory, my memory is going to the doctor and getting injections as a kid. But a couple of good things happened. And we used to have a beautiful house rented in Palghat, in Western Ghat, when nobody is around. This is green, there is a water body, there is a pond inside the house, there are water snakes, there are birds. I started watching all those things because I can't play with children because my asthma will get. So playing is gone. So instead of creeping about, I can't play, I had something else to focus on. The noise came from birds, animals, snakes. And my friends became these kids who never went to school, who became these cowboys. They'll come with a cow and tell me the difference between a pigeon egg and a sparrow egg. That may come. So I read the first book on wildlife, The Man Eaters of Kumau, when I was 8 or 9. What do you do when you can't play? You sit and read. So other noise started coming in. I can read. I can, I can watch. I can observe. And I developed an interest in nature because I was not focused on what I can't do, which is play. I still go to watch kids play. No, I can't play. There are two teams playing. So I will decide to support one team and I'll sit outside and I'll give them strategies. That is what still I do. I don't know how to run a business, but I can advise a CEO, which I used to do as a kid, advising kids on how to play, which I couldn't play. So some of those things that comes in your life. So the first interest I developed on environment. Asthma went away when I was 12, never came back, but I never could even learn bicycling because by that time when you're 12, your other kids and other boys are doing circus on bicycle. Now I said, what's the point in learning? Now I can't do this. So I never grew up dreaming about bikes. But around class 4 or 5, the interest in reading about animals changed to interest in reading literature. So I actually got into the world of imagination books, reading more about it. So my second interest in life came up, literature. So I do write poems or stories. I used to write a column in Business Today called Buddha in the Boardroom. And I could become that writer because I allowed this noise of the world of books come into my life when I was a kid. And while growing up, because of my challenge of not able to play with other kids, not physically that fit, I also had very low self-esteem when I grew up. That got me interested in psychology. There is nobody else to fix me. Let me figure this out. What can I do? So by the time in class 10, I started reading about psychology, understanding the stuff. And I started talking. If you read a lot of stuff, then you can talk. I started talking. I started participating. I started, wherever there is a competition, I can go and talk. A lot of people who can't do anything, they end up talking, which is what I did. So I could talk well. And by the time in class 12, I can go to a competition. You don't have to give me a topic the way I also didn't remember what was the topic today, but I can walk up and talk about things. So here is my thumb advice if I need to give anything. Develop some passions and interest, even if it doesn't pay you anything. There's this beautiful movie that I love called Before Sunset. It's actually three movies: Before Sunset, After Sunset, Before Sunrise. I don't remember exactly. There is this, the whole movie is about two people talking. There's nothing else. And she says that the girl, I'll tell my dad that I want to be a writer, and the dad will tell screenplay and make money. Say I want to be an actor, and the dad will say TV announcer so that he can make money. So whatever interest you have, the society may try to push you into a money making idea. That's okay. You develop interest. When I taught a primary school in Bhutan, I taught kids aged around 8 to 14. Bhutan kids come to class 1 when they are 8. And in class 4, they are 16. Right? So that's where So in those kids, I go and ask them, how many of you know how to sing? How many hands will go up when you ask those kids, how many of you know how to sing? Let me check my timing. Yeah, good.
We have some time.
If I ask, okay, think about it. If you ask a class 6-year-olds in a room, and you go and ask them, how many of you can sing? Typically, everybody will show their hands. Then much later, I became a visiting faculty at ISB, and I go to ISB and ask this question, how many of you can sing? How many hands will go up now? Very few. Look what education has done to us, right? So,
Absolutely right there.
so
It,
we do
yeah,
have all
it's
these
so
interests.
limiting. Yeah.
So I shared that when I said, okay, build some interest, you may think, no, I'm not good at this. I'm not. So I don't agree. As kids, we painted, we sang, we danced, played. We are all rounder. Our brain is designed to be an all-rounder. A human being can paint, build a house, cook a meal, sail a raft, fight a war. Specialization is for insects. It's a brain. You're supposed to do multiple things. And if somebody asks me, hey, only do this thing, I'll get bored. I have to do a little bit of a farming. I have to play with my dogs. I have to write a poem. I have to teach somebody. I have to do multiple things. So I'm going to post now.
Yeah, that's perfectly right. Education is in some sense limiting, isn't it? Because it tells you, it just starts judging you on certain parameters and tells you're good at this or you're bad at that. And you're absolutely right when you say that, as children, more people would raise their hands, and that's simply because you have pure belief in yourself. You don't think there is anything in the world you can't do. Coming to that bit about belief, Santosh, I know that even in your leadership workshops, you've done some really crazy things like make people walk on fire and things like that. Do you want to talk a little bit about belief and how one can bring that belief into themselves?
Yeah. Think about it. You throw any animal into water, throw an ant, throw an elephant, throw a tiger, throw a snake, throw a dog, throw a cat. They all swim,
Mhm.
right? You throw a human being. Where did you go to learn swimming?
Are you
You have to go
asking me?
and learn.
Shall I mention the number of clubs?
We go and learn. And when you say, I learned swimming, what did you learn actually? What exactly did you learn? How to move your hands and feet that you could have done through e-learning, not to go to the club. So what did you learn actually?
Yeah, so you're just learning, you're being taught some natural instincts, aren't you? Once you're thrown into the water, you're just being taught those natural instincts which come so naturally to an animal when you throw them in.
Yeah. So the only thing possibly you will learn one day is that, oh, I can float. Because how to move hands and feet, as kids, we were doing that on the floor, right? When you're crawling. That you don't have to. But here, one day, you said, oh shit, I'm floating. So it's not learning, it's a realization. You just realized. I don't know what do they do in the clubs? I learned swimming in the rivers of Kerala. So how they do is There would be always a friend or somebody who will put two hands below on my body will be on top, and I'm trying to do all those things. And they would have removed the hand, which I wouldn't know. And suddenly I realized that without those hands supporting me, I'm floating. So it's a realization. Nobody can learn how to float. You know why? Because we are capable of floating. We were 9 months in placenta floating. So we are designed to float. But we make it to a big thing. I have to go and learn. Now, then, why do people die? Drowning. Millions of people die every year. They die because we have a belief that I don't know swimming, I'm going to die. And with that belief, after that, whatever we try to do, we're struggling hard. But the fundamental belief is that I don't know how to swim, I'm going to die. And that belief is making you drown and die. That's why this is a joke. Don't take it seriously. That's the reason dead bodies float, because they don't think. They just float. They don't have a belief.
Right.
So what we believe become a reality. I usually say that we tend to, the first of all, we form a belief about people, about the world, about self. I'm good looking, I'm bad looking, I can do this, I can't do this, I can't study maths, I can't. These are all beliefs. If you ever had a good maths teacher, which I never had in the class, when you're in the school, we loved a subject because we loved the teacher. Right? We loved the subject. And when the teacher changed, our love for the subject went away. So if you could just, instead of building a new belief, which is tough again, fighting that, we can have that awareness and the and that awareness that I am designed to float. I have it, and it's a choice, and I could. And somewhere along the life, we picked up these beliefs. You know, I always say this to parents. You could be a psychologist, you could be a great parent, but you're going to mess up the kids, because that's what human nature is. We can't. Otherwise, we could have brought kids in laboratory setting. We're all human. And things, if you're too good, that can mess them up. If you're too harsh, that can mess them up. So people would keep creating this beliefs of what's going around in the world, and some they choose to hold that. And I had this belief that I don't have confidence, I couldn't face people. I would actually walk 3 times before entering your friend's house, 3 times in front of his house or her house, thinking that if I go there, would her or his parents like it now? Then I have to gather my courage and confidence to walk in. And then I realized, instead of fighting that, let me focus on what I wanted to do. So that's a thumb rule. Build something. We're not going to be good at everything. That's okay. Build something. Build some interest which is already there. Focus on that. That confidence will help you to deal with other issues. Here is a thumb rule. You are not going to face a situation in your life where you are fearless. There's no absence of fear. I get shit scared, even now when I wanted to address a group. But when love for something is more than the fear, you will do it. So don't try to figure out how can I reduce my fear. Think about how can I increase my love for that. I have a cocker spaniel pup. She's so scared of getting into the car. She's so scared of getting into the car. But she loves hanging around with me. So some days when I was in Delhi, I used to ask her, do you want to come to office today? And she loves. And there's fear of the car. So the love for me is more than the fear of the car. So she'll get in and then she'll, hide her face under my shirt. She will not look out. She's fearful. But she's doing it because her love for being with me is more than the fear. So don't try to fight your fear. We all have butterflies. I have to deal with my butterflies in my tummy every day. I'm not going to kill it. I have. Sometimes first time when you wanted to walk up to somebody and say, I like you, I love you, how much fearful it was. But once you have done, you might possibly do it with 100 people after that, because that's how love for something is
Love truly
always.
conquers all, doesn't it?
So the love for something help us to reduce the fear. So don't fight what you don't want. Go for what you want. That's what I'll say.
So true. I mean, really, bring love and passion into whatever it is that you want to do, that you choose to do. And I think that really brings us to focus, right? I mean, you talked about temptation coming in through the door that you've left open, right? That also leads you to the idea of focus. What should you focus on? And really, how should you focus? As a 50-year-old, Santhosh, it's difficult for me to sort of meditate or become mindful. How do you teach a 16-year-old to be mindful, meditate, and focus? Now, I'd like you to talk about that. And it's really unfortunate that we can't do a little workshop with our students. I remember at one stage in my life, you taught me self hypnosis that really helps you to focus, and I wish we could get you to hypnotize a few people online, but that's not going to happen. So, if you could just talk about focus and how people could actually, especially teenagers, how could they do that? You know?
Again, my usual suggestion is that don't try. You know, trying means not doing. I used to do this activity. I put a pen down and ask somebody, try picking it up. Try picking it up is not about not picking it up. If you want to pick it up, pick it up. So just remove the word try from your vocabulary. It will do a lot of good for you, because you keep hearing, I'll try. Guarantee when you say I'll try, your mind is saying I can have a reason not to do that. Now, focus, I never felt is an issue for a teenager, honestly. So I'm a very different concept, because they have too much focus when they watch a movie that they love. Korean movie. Right. It was one of the case of my daughter. And she's too focused. She even picked up Korean language. That. So focus is there. It's an ability. Focus come with interest. That's why I build interest. And it is wastage of your time trying to focus on something which you don't find interesting. So ask the question, how could I create interest in this? What's interesting about this? And it was so difficult for me to learn centripetal and centrifugal force in physics, because my teacher kept teaching that definition, centripetal. I said, what's the use of this, man? Finally, he said, when you travel on a hill, have you noticed when there is a curve in the road, the bus tilt? I said, yeah, I get it. Oh, that is centrifugal force. Yeah. Okay. So how does it matter to me? What's my interest? What's my interest area? What my passion? It will build focus, because we are designed to focus. And one of the complaint parents always will have about you is that you have too much focus on something, right? So you don't have to try and, but think about what is it that I'm really. So you have two kinds of minds. This is important. One is your mind. Second is social mind. If you can cut that bloody social mind out, social mind is saying, oh, everybody is doing this, I should do that. It's cool. Everybody is, coloring the hair, so that's cool, I should do it. So just ask yourself, what do you want? What really gives you joy? What really gives you passion? And you might say that, okay, coloring my hair gives me passion. Then ask one more question. Why? Then you will know, is it coming from the social mind or is it coming from, if it's coming from your mind, by all way, just go and do it. Don't bother anybody. But if it's coming from a social mind, ask yourself, do I really want it? What is it that I would love to focus? And that focus, that interest, even if you think it is not going to get you a great job now, don't bother. It will. Because what we think will get a job today is not going to be the case tomorrow. When I grew up, we all wanted to go and get into medicine or engineering, and luckily I didn't, and I was not too smart to go there. And I think I got lucky that I didn't. I went and spoke, I went and wrote, I went to teach in a primary school. I did everything. I backpacked for a year, but I chased those passion, I chased those dreams. So one of the things I never did was I never compromised into a social mind. You know that I've been coaching CEOs, I've traveled all around the world, but I actually didn't wear a tie till now. I wear a jacket because I really, it's cold. This one I can't figure out what is the reason. So rationally I couldn't figure out. So I said, no, I'm not going to. But that's a social one. I'm not going to adjust there. So
Right.
focus,
So,
that was your question. You believe that you are focused. So whenever students come and tell me, oh, help me to concentrate, I said, wrong question. You have concentration because you have all the concentration when you watch a movie. I can help you to find what your interests are. Once there is interest, there is focus. Once there is interest, there is concentration. Once there is an interest, there is something, a psychological state that I call flow. Flowing. It's not an effort, just an easy flow. It's nice.
right. I mean, and we have educators and parents, complaining about the attention span of children going down. So it really depends on, them choosing their interest, loving their interest, and then showing more interest in that particular area. So you're absolutely right. And yesterday, my co-founder Sayed did a session on, on happiness, the science of happiness, and flow is one of the key things, and really I'd encourage everyone to read a little bit more about flow because it really gets you even more interested in what you're doing because it is so effortless. So yeah, I mean, if we could just wrap this up, Santosh, because we've got a minute left, on how all of this could really lead to a more meaningful life for these teenagers as they grow into, the next CEOs that you could be training.
I'm retired now. I don't know. I don't remember what all I said, honestly, because if somebody asks me which were the five things you said, I say, yeah, I was in the flow. Now it happened. But the key themes I said, develop multiple interests because your brain is designed that way. Chase those interests. And if you really love to watch movie, but then go a bit more deeper into that and say that, hey, how is the cinematography like this? When people are feeling lonely, why is the camera kept on the top? So when you keep a camera on the top, even if you don't act lonely, the person will look lonely. Oh, that's interesting. Just go deeper into anything that you are interested in because that's going to pay you later. Which is nice. Develop interest, develop your passions on multiple things. It will create focus, it will create concentration. Do not try to fight it, do not try to avoid fear, but focus on what you love than the fear. When the love is more than the fear has no chance.
Great. So
Students
just,
when they feel
sorry,
depressed cannot focus on few subjects like
ah,
maths, which they always could. How to help them? Rina, we use this word depression very colloquially. Uh, Now there is something called clinical depression, where it's a brain chemical issue which we need treatment. Another one is called ups and downs, which all of us go through. I get low. So the first thing is that don't use words. The moment you use a word called depression, you will get depressed. If there is a community where there is no word called depression, they don't. So I always tell my people, when somebody come and tell me that I feel depressed, I said, okay, tell me, what are you feeling on your body? Remove the word. They say, I don't feel any energy. I said, where is it? Said, because it's a social concept. Many people, there are depression, which is called a clinical depression, but most of the time when we talk about that, we're just feeling low. That's okay. Life is like that. There is a rainy season, then there's the sun comes. There is nothing called only one thing is good. If you always be happy and fun and chirpy, then happiness has no meaning. You enjoy happiness because yesterday you were sad, and both are good. When I'm sad, I write better poetry. It's okay.
Right. Use that sadness. Use that sadness in a constructive way, I think. Yes, I that was great, Santosh. I mean, just I think if I had to wrap up all that you said, it's like feel the fear, love more, be a bit of a rebel, looking for that passion. Thanks so much, Santosh. We are definitely going to, someday in the future do a workshop with you. I know it takes longer, but I know it's a lot of fun. So we will do that. But thank you for joining us.